is intelligence and what does make us human at the end of the day.
And you feel like I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to give more.
Coming from a military background and very much from a leadership perspective.
Oh, you've worked at IBM. You must know something about tech.
What was that pathway for you coming actually into the tech industry?
I did not plan to ever work in the tech industry. AI is everywhere.
What would you say tech companies do really well?
I'm really passionate about inclusion in the tech space. The recruiters were actually making a lot more money than I was in marketing, $40,000.
Stephanie Zuniga-Maher,
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Double Triple podcast.
It is my absolute pleasure, Gabe. This is so exciting. I'm so excited to be in the Double Triple family now.
Oh, it's so exciting for us in like a full circle moment.
Completely.
Because you actually hired Caelah at Splunk, right? And now you've come on board as a coach at Double Triple.
Look, I never thought that hiring Caelah would be my claim to fame. However, it has become my absolute claim to fame in this community, and it could not be better. I am so pleased to, like, number one, be in the community, but number two, have that as, like, I'm the person that hired Caelah at Splunk.
So good.
To be honest, it was such a no-brainer. I remember talking to her, and she was absolutely amazing. And I don't know if I've shared this with her directly, but I just remember fangirling over the fact that she played AFL, and then she was just also so polished and like so tenacious, and it was just a really great conversation. I remember it sitting at my desk at home. So,
oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah,
she's a special human. That's
she's
for sure.
a wonderful human, a really wonderful.
You just
human.
turn this into like a appreciation.
But Caelah is amazing.
For sure, for sure. I have to say too, Steph, you've absolutely taken the Double Triple community by storm. I'm getting ambushed every hour at the moment. It's like, Steph is so great. We loved her on the office hours. It's so awesome having you a part of the program, and your expertise, your energy has been really awesome. So I'd love to hear what you think of the Double Triple community, how the first week's been.
It's only been a week, but it is such a community of wonderful humans and so many unique and special and like fantastic individuals. And I've absolutely loved getting to know the bull riders, the mine safety engineers, the birds, all of the different, I guess, humans and animals that make up the community. But it's just, it's really such a great supportive group of humans that I've absolutely loved it. And I've loved answering, they're not like even questions or problems, it's just being there to support people on this journey, because obviously doing a career pivot is never easy at the best of times, and especially when you're doing it on top of all of your other responsibilities, that I'm really pleased that I can be there just to support and kind of empower and give virtual hugs to all the participants in the communities. I've absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's so cool to see. And I think for both of us, and I know getting to know you as well more recently too, Steph, I actually heard of you a lot actually in the Splunk days at Kay, all the full circle moments, but I know you're really passionate about the diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yes.
So am I as well, coming from a military background and very much from a leadership perspective, I always celebrated different ways of thinking, different backgrounds. We, of course, bring that into the Double Triple community too, but I'd love to unpack that a bit more from your perspective, that passion area for you.
Look, there are lots of different ways I can talk about this, and please feel free to throw something at me and tell me to be quiet, because I will go off on a tangent. But that's actually one of the things that really attracted me to Double Triple, the fact that you're bringing people who may not have a traditional quote-unquote tech background into the tech sales space, and you're really celebrating all the different lived experiences and all the different journeys that people have taken to get them to the point where they are now, and to the point where they're ready to kind of begin this next phase of their career. And I'm really passionate about inclusion in the tech space. I mean, literally, I could talk underwater about this for hours, but I think, when you look at our world that we have today, AI, digital, tech in quotes, is everywhere, and we need the voices and perspectives of everyone around the world from all different backgrounds, lived experiences, life journeys, to be a part of that industry in order to really get the best from the tech that we're using every single day. And if we don't have those perspectives, we're going to wind up with so many, I guess, biased products and software, and it's not going to really help people that don't fit into the traditional mold of whatever that traditional mold may be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Where does that originate from for you?
What's my origin story? Every hero and every villain has an origin story. So I was reflecting on this as I started writing about my own personal journey not long ago. And I actually think it started even with my grandparents. So obviously, if you can't see, I'm a Black African-American woman. And growing up, even in my mom, like when my mom was growing up, she was surrounded by really I guess, supportive people within her community, the Black community in St. Louis. And my grandfather was a photojournalist. So my grandfather actually went to the March on Washington and took a picture of Martin Luther King behind the scenes as he was like preparing for his speech.
Wow.
So the civil rights movement was very much front and center for my mother growing up. And she went to Wellesley, which is an all-women's college in the U.S., and she was one of 6 Black women at Wellesley in her class. And they saw that all the Black students were being housed together or put in single rooms. And, first they were like, oh, that's interesting. Then they were like, hang on a second. That's systemic, not just interesting. And so they actually got together and formed the Black Student Union, and that became part of kind of the civil rights movement at Wellesley. Now, years later, and again, we can go on a long journey about this, but years later, one of my mother's Wellesley classmates was actually the wife of a presidential candidate and became First Lady of the U.S. And so I remember growing up listening to the criticism that Hillary faced in terms of not just being criticized as a person, but being criticized for all the choices that she made. And in her, I saw my mother, all of my best friends' parents, all the women I knew who had these amazing careers and were lawyers and business women and doctors and all of these things. And I just remember being about 12 years old maybe and hearing the criticism of like, well, Hillary should have just stayed home and baked cookies and looked after the kids. And it's like, that shouldn't be how the world works. Like that's not what I know of being true. And I mean, and again, just to go back to my mother, it's like even as a little girl, I was not allowed to have a Barbie until Barbie had a job. So my first Barbie, she was Black. She was day to night Barbie. She had an office and then a home play set. She came wearing a business suit. But when you took off her little cocktail jacket or her little jacket, it was a cocktail dress. So I thought my entire career was going to be like day to night Barbie. It was not.
Did it turn out that way?
Well, sometimes. Yeah. But that kind of being instilled early on that women have a place in the workforce and that women should have choices and that Black women especially need to carve out kind of a space in society that's unique and that's special. And all of the things about, I guess, diversity, equity, and inclusion, they were second nature. The school that I went to in Washington was the first integrated school in Washington, D.C. Most of my friends were Jewish growing up. So I remember being 13 and being like, Mom, why aren't I having a bat mitzvah? And she's like, because you're not Jewish. I'm like, what? I was like so shocked. Yeah. But again, it didn't seem like there was nothing different. Like that was just
the norm.
It was the norm. Yeah. It was the complete norm. And it was only when I grew up and became an adult and moved to Australia that I was like, oh, when are we doing like inclusive things? And they're like, we're not. We're just, that's not happening. And I'm like, And so through, working in tech and recruiting in tech and seeing that the gender imbalance in tech was still very much alive and well, seeing the discrimination and seeing how excluded some people felt. Yeah. And how that was still something that was happening even today. And so that's kind of what spurred me on into someone should do something about this. And it's like, well, somebody needs to be me. I need to be the person, or I need to start working on the things that might shift the needle or might even make individual change. Because again, these are big systemic problems that we're facing. But if everyone does a little bit, that's how we really create the change. Yeah. So that's a long journey that I probably could have talked about for another 10 minutes, but I'll just stop there for now.
No, I love it, Steph. Yeah, and thanks for sharing as well. Yeah. I'm interested to know what was that pathway for you coming actually into the tech industry, and it sounds like also you had that common thread and that passion throughout your whole career, and it sort of also brought you to where you are today. Yeah. What was it about the tech industry and maybe the shift or the move from DC into Sydney? Could you tell us about that part of your life? Of course.
So if I'm honest, I did not plan to ever work in the tech industry. My plan when I went to college was I was going to study political science. Actually, no, I was going to study public policy and then go back and work in DC and become a politician of some sort. That all got thwarted when I stayed for longer in London when I studied abroad. And so I had to come back and kind of relook at my options because I had too much fun in London. So I went from public policy to political science with a minor in women's studies. And then I decided I was not going to go to law school, much to the disappointment of everyone in my family.
Can't imagine.
In fact, I took the LSAT. When I was home recently, I found my LSAT scores. I'm like, oh, those were actually pretty good. Yeah. I could have really done well. But followed my heart to Australia. Again, much to my parents' shock and horror. I decided to do my Master's of International Business and Marketing.
Oh, yeah.
But before I landed in Australia, I actually worked at IBM for a year, just doing customer support, account management, and just, account management and operations for them. And so that was a really interesting, wasn't that interesting, but it was an experience. But back in 2001, it was organizing routers and switches and monitors and things like that. And when I was studying in Australia, I got a job in Manpower just part-time. And then after doing that, after working in marketing for them, I decided that the recruiters were actually making a lot more money than I was in marketing as a marketing coordinator. I think I was on like $40,000 a year, which even back in the early 2000s was not a lot of money. And I was hanging out with all the IT recruiters, and they were living large at the establishment and going out for fancy lunches and living the high life. And it just looked like a lot of fun. And so I remember applying for a job at Talent International, it's now an international IT recruitment firm. At the time, they had an office in Perth. We were in a serviced office over in Spring Street because there were only 5 of us at the time. And I remember Richard Earl, the founder, saying, "Oh, you've worked at IBM. You must know something about tech." And as most people do in interviews, it's like, yeah, of course I do.
Strategic
kind
narrative.
of, yes. My strategic narrative was like, sure. I knew very little about tech, but apparently it was high enough to get into IT recruitment.
Yeah, nice.
And so that's kind of how I got into tech, officially. And it was really interesting because I am someone who learned from asking a lot of questions. So I just remember the first couple of years just asking so many questions and getting into not trouble, but I remember one time talking about qualifying people and knowing your market. Talking to a candidate and looking at the job spec and like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you won't be a good fit because you need to have 5 years of C# for this role." And being very, I thought I knew everything at that point. The candidate looks at me, he goes, "Oh, really, 5 years?" I'm like, "Yep, that's what the job description says. Yep, yep." Do you have to have worked at Microsoft? I'm like, "Microsoft? No, it doesn't say that here." And he's like, "Well, in order to have 5 years of C# experience, I would have had to work at Microsoft creating it." And I was like, oh.
Minor details.
Okay then, well. And so that was a really powerful lesson of like, do your research, do your homework. Yeah. No, just that little bit of extra detail. But again, learn so much about the tech industry and tech space. Still can barely use a computer myself and can't program anything, but I know tech like I know how to drive a car. I don't look under the hood. I just go with it. But yeah, that kind of launched my career in quote unquote tech.
I love it.
And I've been in it pretty much ever since.
Yeah, so good. So that recruitment really spearheaded the start of that tech-centered one.
Yeah, I mean, IT recruitment at Talent and People Bank and Clarius, and then moving into the role at Splunk where I hired Caelah, then Canva. And then actually it's only been the role before last where I haven't been in tech, which is a weird experience, being in government. It's like, where's the tech? Where are all the tech people?
Yeah. And it sounds like on the recruitment side, talent acquisition, then diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yes.
How do you see that as like across the entirety of like people capability from your experience? I'm interested in that from like more of a macro sort of strategic level, right? Because we're all very interesting, what makes us up as humans, and then human capital. And have you got a preference or a passion area for one of those elements over another, or any projects or thing, or are you just passionate about the people side?
Do you know what? I love the people side of the business, as I think people can be an organization's greatest asset. Also probably its greatest liability, but we'll focus on the positive. And I think if you can make someone feel like they are included and belong within an organization, they will share all of their best gifts and talents and ideas and thoughts with you. And I think, especially when you think about the talent life cycle and like the employee journey, there are so many opportunities to make a positive impression on a candidate, whether they become an employee or not. So every single thing that you hear about a company is feeding into that perception. So even before you decide, I'd like to work at Wisecast or wherever it is, double, triple, you're collecting information, whether consciously or unconsciously, about them. And so once you start reaching out to the candidate, and once you start entering that dialogue, there's just more and more touch points where you can share the story of how they can be included in the business and how they can bring their best selves to work in that organization. And I think it's really important, but I think it's more important that once they land in that organization, that everything you said is true. Because I think no matter what you've been sold or anytime you've been sold something, they sell the big picture. And if you get there on day one and you're like, actually, this isn't true, then it creates such a negative experience, and an experience that's really hard to come back from, both from a company point of view and an individual point of view. That I think making sure that we get it right, even before the person enters that candidate funnel, but all the way through to their last day, and even a week later when someone says, "Oh, you've left. What, how do you feel?" It's like, "Oh, I left because of X, Y, and Z, but I would go back in a heartbeat because it was such an amazing experience."
Yeah.
That you really want that, I guess, positive sentiment or positive experience to flow through, even through an alumni program. The next time that they see that company mentioned, they're still buying your product or using your service because they love it so much.
Yeah.
I still walk around in my Canva jumper and my Canva coat or Canva jacket, and one day I'm like, I probably shouldn't wear that anymore. I mean, it's all good to be rah-rah, but maybe this is too much. But I still do.
Caelah's got the Splunk swag on today, or maybe a bag, and I've carried in my Palo Alto Networks bag.
See,
There you
exactly.
go,
I actually do still use my Splunk backpack
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, totally.
But again, it's because you loved your experience there, and it was a positive experience, and for whatever reason, you're proud to have done that. So I think, again, it's really important.
Yeah, for sure. In the big tech experience that you have had too, Steph, given the work we're doing now at Double Triple,
Yes.
what would you say tech companies do really well and what they get right when it comes to building talent? I do believe it's a strategic asset for the business. From a tech company point of view, I'd love to hear your thoughts, pulling that same thread. What do you think the best tech companies in the world do right today to attract the best talent, be competitive, retain them? What does that look like from the outset?
I think, and this is something that might be controversial, but making you feel like you're a part of the culture. And they do a great job of, I don't want to say indoctrinating, because that sounds so negative, but much like when you walk onto a U.S. college campus, and I just recently went back for my 25th reunion, and everyone's wearing Duke sweatshirts, everyone's wearing the hat, everyone has the backpack, all the swag, that as soon as you step into that kind of community feeling, you feel like you're a part of something bigger than yourself. And you start to imagine growing with the company and being a part of the company. And it becomes almost part of, it sounds so cheesy, but your identity. You're not just Caelah, you're a Splunker. You're not just Steph, you're a Canvanaut. You're not Gabe, you're I don't know what they call people at Palo Alto, but like whatever it is. But you adopt that almost as part of you. And so as much as sometimes it can go too far and you're like, I drank too much Kool-Aid and now I can't get out, it also is something that I think is really powerful in ensuring that people feel like they belong in that space. And once you feel like you belong there, you feel safe and you feel like, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to give more. You're investing mentally in them and also investing your time and resources in them as well. So it's like putting in that extra bit of effort because you feel like you're part of something bigger. That sometimes if you don't feel that, it's like, well, what am I working for? What am I working towards? Like, we're all just kind of little ants in a colony rather than part of a big collective group, which is like, yeah, we're all doing this. We're going over the cliff. We're like rowing together and doing this together. So I think that community spirit, which I think you've also really built at Double Triple. I mean, I can't wait for the Double Triple swag to come out.
It's coming very soon.
Excellent. I can't wait.
Heard it here live. Yeah.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Can't wait to have my little hat, my jumper, and everything else. But again, it's that community where people feel like they're part of the Double Triple community and people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. And it's not just Jackie and John going through a job search. Everyone's in it with them. I think that's what makes Double Triple really special.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually quite interested to pivot into, you've had a lot of experience in the company side.
Oh, yes.
I know we had an early conversation coming into Double Triple and seeing it from the job seeker side. Yeah. Have there been, I know it's very, very early days, but I'd love to just unpack that a bit more. We're really working across the Double Triple community now. Yeah. I really do believe as well it comes down to that human element. It's the spirit, it's the belonging, it's the feelings. So we all want to feel like we're social beings. If we flip the perspective and just put ourselves in the shoes of the job seeker, particularly people from a lot of diverse backgrounds and experiences, has there been any standout moments for you or perspective shifts seeing that in the community in terms of when they are looking to work for great tech companies, almost on the other side of the talent marketplace now?
I think it's interesting to, I guess, see the journey that people go on a personal level. And you sort of alluded to it a little bit when we were talking earlier. Everyone's like, I want to be in the earlier conversation. But to see, when someone has an aha moment, it doesn't just impact them in this job search. It's something that they will take with them forever. If someone realizes, oh, I need to work on my active listening skills, or, oh, I've just learned this great thing I can do with Claude, or, oh, I've learned how to reframe my thinking about myself. Those are the moments that already this week, and it's only whatever day it is today, that it's like, oh my goodness, I can see those light bulb moments. And I think for job seekers, those are the things, if they take away nothing else, which there's so much to take away from the program, but like if they take away nothing else, just those little moments of personal discovery, that's like already, oh my God, that's amazing. I mean, aside from the sales playbook and the interview playbook and all of these other wonderful things, that moment where they realize something about themselves, or that they can polish up a little bit about how they talk about their last employer. Like, to me, that's kind of the,
yeah.
that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, I agree. It's seeing the personal development, but I was describing, people oftentimes ask, what does Double Triple provide? And I always like to bring it back to like life transformation.
It is.
It happens for people. We see it every
100%.
single week. And I'd love to bring out some specific examples whilst also respecting
privacy.
Of course, yeah. There's been a few quite funny moments for us where it's like, instead of saying, I'm sick of working with dickheads, excuse the language, it's like, oh, maybe we could reframe that in terms of, I would like to find a values-aligned culture. It's like, that's been a coaching point you had early on. It just like cracks me up every time.
I need to go and watch that back, because I remember saying it, and I also remember thinking, how can we polish this up a little bit? How can we just spruce it up?
I think you mentioned polished a bit too, but it's like the language goes a long way too, and it's how you represent yourself, and almost analogous to what you said about the tech companies and the impression and for talent to pick up the threads and what they consciously, subconsciously perceive of the company. Same thing on vice versa, right?
Yes.
Tech companies are going to pay attention to how you represent yourself, present yourself, the words you use, how you talk about things. And I think we've had 3 major moments even just early on in this week. Another example being someone having quite a hard time in the program of just like, hey, I had this interview and I got rejected, but it was like we recognise, and the coaching point very much was, well, potentially we could shift the language and talk really positively to the motivation to get into tech sales, as opposed to potentially a negative outlook on a dying industry, for example. And I think those shifts, as you're describing too, Steph, in terms of what we see, personal development, life transformation, it's like we see it every day across the community, and
100%.
People really, it's just like, it's like a magical thing that happens in the heart of the community at Double Triple.
It is, and I think it's, the things that people can reframe, and it's a big reframing. And I've heard other examples of like, oh, I'm not very good at this. It's like, stop right there. If you go into an interview, if you go into a conversation thinking, I'm not very good at this, I wasn't very good at my last job, that aura, that like energy, it just permeates the room. And the first thing the interviewer thinks is like, well, I don't want to hire someone that wasn't good at their last job.
Totally.
But if you kind of reframe it as, I learned a lot, that's like, oh, great, you've learned. Perfect. So you're starting here, not down there. And just those little, and again, it comes from that personal reflection and reframing. And I think one of the things that I've been telling people this week is the number one thing to get right is that strategic narrative. And if you can nail that and get really comfortable with that, and like be super honest the first time you write it down, and then reread it to see how you can refine it. And maybe reread it again, and maybe have someone else read it, and then write it again. But if you can nail that story, your strategic narrative, why me, why this, why now, not only will you convince the person sitting opposite you, but you'll convince yourself as well. And I think that's so important, because people have to have that self-belief and that confidence. And I can see it building in the community. I can see people building that confidence, that muscle of like, I'm working on myself. But it does take self-reflection and sometimes holding up a mirror to the parts that we don't necessarily want to look at. But it's the most valuable thing that I think you can do, that everyone can do. I'm always doing it, which is confronting and horrible. But
it's a continuous journey, isn't it?
It is. You're never done. We're humans. We're always evolving, always changing, or hopefully we are.
Yeah, totally. And herein lies just the magic of Steph joining as a coach at Double Triple. You picked up the Double Triple playbook so nicely. Like, here's a strategic narrative. Why you are now. It's just so cool.
I love it.
So cool. Yeah, we're joking outside, mentioned before, the community's loving having you involved too, Steph. I'm getting messages like, wow, Steph's just like so incredible and what an asset to the community. It's just, it's like really magical bringing it to life.
Listen, let me know who said that so I can pay them their $50. I mean, I've put a lot of bribes out there. And I know that my mom's joined the community, but she doesn't have to keep commenting. So
Exactly. You just joined as a pseudonym.
That's right. It's not Steph's mom.
So cool.
Yeah, Steph is amazing. She's great.
So cool. Outside of the, well, let's say, soft skills,
Yes.
The strategic narrative, what I noticed too is people are getting a lot out of some maybe technical skills.
Yeah.
You see time and time again people really getting hands-on learning the AI skills.
Yes.
I'm really keen, two parts, of course, what you've observed in Double Triple, but maybe more so in terms of talent, skill sets, capabilities. I think AI has a big role to play in terms of future skills and just like employability, that sort of stuff. So personally, I love to see people, even just really early on, there was one member in Double Triple mentioning, I'm 6 weeks in and the best thing I'm loving right now is just how much I'm learning AI skills. And it's just like, there's so many features of the value in the program and the community, but it's cool to see that is like a really valuable thing for people to learn. 100%. What are your thoughts on that? And then also when you think about talent generally and whether future-proofing skills, but also as we started this conversation, it's tech, it's AI, it's digital, certainly necessitates upskilling personal development, professional development. I'd just love to hear your thoughts on that.
My goodness, this is such a long question. Where do I even start? I think, especially for people who haven't necessarily come from a background where they're sitting at a computer every single day, day in, day out, getting comfortable with Claude and ChatGPT and Perplexity and Gemini and this and like all the different tools, because it's so important. And it's something that I find if I go to sleep for not go to sleep for 3 days, but like if I ignore it for a week or three weeks, it's all changed anyway. And so it's really a constant battle to stay on top of it. And I think for people who are coming in completely fresh, learning those skills and getting comfortable in that AI fluency, again, it's going to be one of the biggest skills that they take out of the program, because love it, like it, hate it, whatever, AI is here. It's here to stay. And some of the questions that I've facilitated in office hours about using AI on your CV and how much should you use it and how much should you use it for a cover letter and what if I can't use AI or should I use AI? Like there's so many different kind of levels of comfort and levels of fluency that people getting comfortable not copying and paste. Well, first of all, using AI, but knowing enough not to copy and paste it and just say, yep, that's done. It's AI. It's like, no, please don't do that. But getting comfortable and getting, I guess, fluent with the tools that they have from a talent point of view, that will help them leaps and bounds. And I think in terms of everyone's personal development, it's again, you and Caelah are amazing with building AI and building connectors. And like, I need to get to your level. Like I need to upskill myself. But I think if we can just get everyone to get 10% better at what they do, you don't have to start from zero and building, Claude skills and things like that. But if you can just get 10% better, that will help your job search and that will help you when you start your sales career, because there are so many automations and so many things that you can do. But just start every week 10% better, or even 1% better if you can't do 10%. But just that little incremental change will help until it all changes again. And then,
Yeah, that's right. And it does move quickly, right?
It moves so quickly.
Just the exposure of tech and digital, and like this is the world we live in. But I always, very near and dear to my heart, is keeping the human element and the connection, right? And community and the belonging. And it's like, it's all a big matrix in a sense.
It all fits together. And I think the scary thing is that in 10 years, we need to make sure that we do still have that human connection, that human, not just in the loop, but at the heart of what we do, because humans aren't going anywhere. I mean, I think we're still at least 150 years from that movie where the robots take over. Maybe we're only 20 years away, but we're all going to be here hopefully in 20 years, and we all need to work out how to integrate this. But we do need to figure out how we as humans are going to work together with this technology without letting it take over. I mean, I have a 9-year-old son, and I am terrified that one day he will forget how to think, because he is so good at prompting and at typing things into Google and searching it up on Claude. Actually, he hates Claude. He uses ChatGPT. It's a work in progress. But he's so good at having everything at his fingertips that I'm worried that we as a next generation will lose the skill of like research and critical thinking. But it's like, how do we integrate AI? How do we integrate that with those human thinking skills. And I think that's, for me, in the AI space, that's going to be the most interesting challenge.
You mentioned critical thinking. I'd like to go a little bit deeper on that topic. And this is really relevant in the age of AI, for sure. That example of your son, and I think just broader implications across society, like us, what makes us unique, and of course AI
makes us human,
artificial, right? Like what is intelligence, and what does make us human at the end of the day? But I definitely agree with you, Steph, on preserving the critical thinking. How do you think we do that in the age of AI?
Look, I mean, if I could solve this puzzle, I think, and I see it sometimes, well, I see it a lot with job seekers as well. People who use ChatGPT or Claude or AI for their cover letters and then don't go back and read through what it says. And I said this the other night on a call. I'm like, please don't use the word spearheaded. Nobody that I've ever met in my entire life in a conversation has ever said the word spearheaded. It is like a it's just one of those AI words.
It stands out like an M dash.
Yes, exactly. It's like, I spearheaded this campaign. There will be signs. But I think that's where where the critical thinking does come in. It's like, if you're reading through it and it doesn't sound like you, don't send it.
Yeah.
Like, AI's given you the nice bones and structure. Just change a few words here and there. Use your thinking skills to think, if someone calls me, am I going to say, oh, thank you so much for calling. I've really enjoyed this conversation. For your information, I've spearheaded this next. It's like, no, you're not. Like exactly. So, your AI personality or your cover letter and your resume need to match the person that they call.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the person on the phone. So I think maybe that, from a job seeking point of view, is where that critical thinking, that kind of not skepticism, but that self-examination kind of that challenge of AI, unless you have the skill where it's like, please put this into my words. And it's like, oh, perfect.
For sure.
Which is also a skill that Claude can do. But I think that's where some of those thinking human skills come through. But that's also why I love the idea of sending a Loom video. Because those Loom videos, and as much as everyone hates to watch themselves, I hate watching myself, I hate listening to myself, I hate seeing myself on a screen. However, if you can talk through, your why and send a video and make yourself human, it really does cut through so much, until we get the AI avatars and the deep fakes and things like that. And it's like, oh, Steph, that's not what you would normally say. Interesting, you're very jerky in your movement.
Yeah.
But, that's also where that human touch comes in with those Loom videos, with those human connections, those reach outs where, hopefully people aren't over-engineering their AI reach out. So it sounds like, hey, friend, I've just come across this. Just make it personal.
Humanize it a bit
exactly.
more. Yeah. And I got to say, on the language, it's like, hey, surely you've got to be like, I love to hear myself speak. I love to hear the language and the mindset and the frame.
I know. I should, but I'm also very authentic of I don't know anyone that can watch a video of themselves and not cringe and not point out every single thing. It's like, oh, do I look like that? Oh, God, no. As I realize I'm staring straight down the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Live on the recording.
Yeah, live on the recording.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's always interesting when we do see people do the first Loom video, because we teach that methodology. Yes. And of course, it can be a little bit of nervousness or hesitation, I think, for some people, but inevitably, and lots of milestones, capstones through the program, we see those breakthroughs.
Yes.
And it's a way to have an asset, but coming back to what is a digital thing that can bring the human element. And it's a really good point you raise. We also want to think about AI, particularly for the job seeker, as an 80% solution. Yes. The structures as you described it. Loom videos, it does humanize because it's, it's very personable. Yeah. I think where people can go a little bit wrong, though, is making it too scripted, because you do also want it to be really raw and authentic to you. And that's a whole learning journey.
That is a thing in itself, too. Journey of how to be polished yet authentic, to be natural, but not say the wrong thing. It's and it's that kind of tightrope that you walk. Yeah. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And so you have to be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that confidence will hopefully give everyone in the program, is that comfort in their own skin and that confidence of, I got this. No matter what it is, I got it. Whatever anything throws at me, got this.
Good lesson for life too, right? Confidence in ourselves as unique individuals, coming back to celebrating humanity.
Exactly.
That's what makes us all.
Well, and that's why inclusion and diversity and belonging is so important, is that we are all individuals. We all grew up in different, around different dinner tables. We all are going home to different dinner tables tonight. Nobody knows what it's like to be anyone else, even the closest person that you have. Still, you're not with them 24/7 unless you're joined at the hip, literally. But, we're all bringing our experiences to the table. And I think that's where we get the rich tapestry of life and humanity. So,
yeah. Couldn't agree more, Steph. Absolutely. I'd love to actually ask you about Technicolor.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Tell us about Technicolor.
Technicolor is my, I feel like an infomercial all of a sudden. Oh yes, Technicolor.
If you just look directly into the camera. This is your time, Steph.
No, so Technicolor is actually a new, I'm like,
now we're live.
Now we're live. Wake up. Sorry. No, Technicolor is a new writing project I've started on Substack to really talk about intersectionality in the tech industry and how can we build a more inclusive tech industry, especially with regard to women of color in tech, and really make sure that first of all, that everyone's included in tech, but particularly with this lens about intersectional women in tech. And Technicolor, because I like to dress in bright colors, in case you haven't noticed. But also, it's just, tech in color. Technicolor, kind of a play on words. But yeah, it's a passion project that hopefully one day might turn into something bigger. And I don't know what that bigger thing is yet.
Oh, very cool. See. Yeah, I love the name, actually, Technicolor. I think you've absolutely nailed it in terms of the sort of branding around, like, the essence of what you're writing about. Yeah. Have you always been a writer?
Yes and no. So I started a blog. Well, I started a blog about 15 years ago that I still write today. And that was because I have a cookbook collection that I was just buying cookbooks left, right, and center because I really enjoy cookbooks and not doing anything with them. So my husband was like, what are you doing? We have like 100 cookbooks. You have to do something. So I said, oh, yeah, I'll start a cooking blog. Yeah, that didn't really keep going as a cooking blog, but he runs I Cook because my husband does a lot of triathlons and marathons and things like that, and I cook, so that's how he runs I Cook. And I still actually write every week, a little bit, just because I've started baking cookies in the past 3 years. So every week I bake 2 different batches of cookies and just share the recipe on my blog. So I'm kind of writing's a passion, but not necessarily a skill that I have.
Oh, that's cool, though. Really, really cool. Yeah. And now you bring that into Technicolor, right?
Yes.
In terms of wanting to write about, the essence of that. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
Exactly. So
yeah.
It brings everything together.
Yeah, that's very cool. Where would you like to see Technicolor grow to? Like, what sort of at the heart of what you're working on today? Of course, we're very happy to have you in as a double triple coach.
Yeah.
But what is it that sets the soul on fire for you, Steph, at this point in your life and career?
Look, that is a great question. I think the best thing is that it's still evolving.
Yeah.
And I'm still discovering all the things that make me passionate from a career standpoint. Certainly one of the things I love about working with Double Triple is, coaching people and getting people to that next stage of where they want to go. So that coaching aspect is amazing. One of the things that I've loved about working in, talent acquisition is working with candidates and being able to help them with their, future career, whatever that looks like. Particularly with women of color in tech, giving them the support that they need to have the confidence to grow their career. And it's really been born out of talking to women who are from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds in the last really few months, more than anything, who are still facing a lot of the challenges that I'd hoped we would have solved for by now. I remember speaking to a woman a couple of weeks ago who had just relocated from India, and she was an associate director back in India of a Big Four consulting company, talking to her, and she said, well, people keep encouraging me to apply for junior roles. And I'm like, well, why? And she said, well, I have an accent. I'm like, everybody has an accent. Like, why are you listening to them? She's like, because I don't have the confidence, because I feel like they might be right. I'm like, no, you need to stand behind your experience and you need to stand up for your experience. And so, writing about or shining a light on these experiences that women are still having is so important to me. And I think, I'd like to see that grow into a support network or into something where a voice or advocacy, and again, I don't know exactly where it's going to head, but something to help develop women.
Yeah, I love it. Keeps evolving, right?
It keeps evolving.
Bring her into the double triple crew. We'll have a Technicolor arm. Why not?
Why not? Look,
yeah, absolutely.
we'll see.
More community, the better. I think it goes a long way when people do have that community, right? The shared experiences, the lived experiences, the shared journey. And what I've recognised, having built double triple now over the last 6 months, can't believe it's been that long. It's like it's really the community.
Only 6 months.
Only 6 months.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Can you imagine in 6 years' time?
Oh my God, I'm excited.
World's number one. Yeah, but it's like the heart of the community is like the thing that makes it really special. And I do think that for a lot of people, you know, in the world, but of course in the context here, you know, it's like that's the really valuable thing everyone gets from each other too, especially in a hyper-connected world and different lived experiences. So,
well, and I think that's something that's also really special about double triple is that people do come together, not in person, but virtually in person.
Sometimes.
Well, we're here now, but barely.
Only just.
Only
We'll
just.
talk about that on the next episode.
We'll talk about that next time.
Let us know when you hear, in person.
Oh,
I thought this was an online community.
I'm like, okay, I'm coming. I'm sprinting through the house. Thank you to my husband for getting me here on time.
Shout out.
Yeah, he was also sitting on the couch. What was I saying? But yes, but that connection that people are building through, you know, not face to face, but screen to face or face to screen, whatever it is. But like people coming together in that way is really in a very human way. Yeah. I think that's also fantastic about the community.
Yeah, totally. We actually did have a couple of in-person meetups.
How did I miss out on that?
We did one in Melbourne. We're, you know, teasing the idea of Brisbane. Okay. Of course, we have a growing US presence. As we know, it's like the...
Ship me over.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to do the double, triple US trip. Yeah, right. Like, where do we choose, though? We've got...
Well, we also have someone in the Cayman Islands now.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I mean, if we're trying to...
World tour.
Yeah,
watch
exactly.
out.
You know?
Put that in the budget.
Yeah, do we have anyone? Anyone in Italy?
We've got some Spaniards. Yeah. Oh, I could definitely go to Spain.
All right, well, let's do it. World trip.
I'll make the decision. I'll let Caelah know.
Yeah. Hey, Caelah, how do you feel about Japan?
Good time to go.
I know, yeah. Just follow the sign.
But the IRL, the in-person meetups that we have actually had at Double Triple, it's just like even bringing that together has been really cool. And
amazing.
I think the US team crew, there's a growing region for us. And of course, being at the epicenter of tech and innovation.
Yes.
California, Texas.
Yeah,
growing community. Canadians.
Austin's pretty good.
Austin
is pretty good.
Love it there.
Yeah, love
absolutely.
it there. Yes.
Very cool.
There was a funny incident that happened yesterday on the call where someone in Australia assumed that one of the Canadian members who was actually living in Sydney, he assumed that she was in Canada, so he tried to mansplain a kookaburra to her. He's like, in Australia, we have these birds called kookaburras. You may not have heard of them. She's like, I live in Paddington. There's one that goes off at 3 a.m.
I've got kookaburras on my balcony.
Yeah, basically. And he was like,
and can you not see the one on my shoulder?
And he was like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. Yeah, it was just very funny.
Too funny. Steph, in closing, I'd actually love to bring it back to a blend of what your experience has been in your career, your passion areas, and of course the work at Double Triple. But have you got any advice or insights for people that might be coming from diverse backgrounds or experiences? Yeah. They are thinking about making a move into, of course, I'm a little bit biased, the best industry in the world.
Yes.
You know, anything from your perspective, that words of encouragement that you'd like to share?
Oh, wow, okay. I would probably say to back yourself, believe in yourself, which I know is really hard because we all have imposter syndrome. None of us think that we are good enough, know enough, but believe me. And this is, I guess I'll give advice that my mom gave me when I was, I think it was the second day or third day that I brought my son home from the hospital. And I don't know if it's good advice or bad advice, but it's advice that stuck with me. And I just remember being really overwhelmed. I have this tiny person that I've created and brought into this world. And I'm just like, Mom, I don't know what to do. What if I do it wrong? And she's like, well, Steph, there are people who are dumber than you with fewer resources, less education, and less support who have managed to do it just fine. You'll be okay. And it's like, that's an interesting reframing, but it really is really powerful. There's so many people out there who have so much less than you, less intelligence, less education, less tenacity, less of everything. And they're going to do their best and they're going to make it work. Why can't you do it? What is it? There's no reason to be insecure. There's no reason to not back yourself. because over in the corner, there's someone who's dumber than you, who doesn't realize that they're dumber than you and less capable, and they're going for that role. They're putting their hand up. They're giving it their all. At least put your hat in the ring.
Yeah.
At least put yourself out there. And I think that's probably the advice I would give to people from diverse backgrounds, and especially people with imposter syndrome, is that everybody has it. I don't know anyone who's ever woken up and ever said, actually, no, I do know one person who is like, I got this, I'm really good at everything, and they're a sociopath. So, yeah, it's like,
a lot to be said.
Yeah, a lot to be said. But most people have doubts. Everyone has doubts sometimes.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what makes you fallible and human and beautiful and wonderful and able to grow and change. The people who don't doubt themselves never grow, because they always think that they're the finished, fully formed statue of Venus de Milo, David, whatever, perfect. But it's we're all kind of lumps of clay that we're still molding ourselves, and we're still growing. So allow yourself to be molded. Allow yourself to grow and develop. So that's probably, I don't know, reflecting back on my career. And I'm certainly not a career planner. Like, not a career planner.
Keep evolving.
Keep evolving. I'm more of a career fish. I kind of like swim and see where life takes me. But, it's good to have a plan, but it's also good to like kind of go with the flow sometimes and see what happens. And that's kind of where the magic happens too. But yeah, I think for people who are going through the double triple program, trust yourself, trust the process, trust the material, just trust and believe. Actually, so I do dance classes, and there's this amazing instructor, Linux Moon. He is the most fabulous human I've ever met, and he's too fabulous and too sassy for himself. But he always says, trust and believe, darling, trust and believe. And it's like, what do you mean? He's like, trust and believe. Your leg will hold you, trust and believe. It's like, okay.
That's all you need.
That's all you need, just trust and believe.
Yeah.
Trust and believe.
Great message.
Yeah.
I love that.
So there you go.
So good, Steph. Well, this has been a lot of fun for me.
It's been very wide-ranging. I'm sure the listeners are like, can you please pick a topic and just talk about that? We driving
all evolve.
around.
Exploration.
This is probably going to be like 4 different episodes.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to host you, Steph, and
it's been my
absolutely
pleasure.
loving working with you and partnering with you across the double triple community.
Yes.
You're amazing, and we really appreciate your perspectives, your expertise, and joining us in double triple, but of course on the podcast today too. So,
well, thanks for having me in the community and on the podcast, and I look forward to more and better and more.
Love it. So good. Thanks so much, Steph.
Thank you.